Hello, and welcome to Starside Cafe, episode 25.
Starside Chat.
I did it again. It's impossible to do. Starside Chat is what it's called. I think we've done that the last 5 podcasts.
Probably. It's happened too many times by now.
Welcome to Starside Chat, episode 25. I'm Aaron, and you've already heard him, my co-host, Zach.
Yeah, the guy who started messing it up, and now it's just a thing that won't stop happening.
How's it been going? It's we're post the semester, Zach. We've finished school.
We have completed our finals. We did very well. You said you got all A's. I think I got all A's and one
Zach, I am
very
a 4.0.
high B. Wow, you're amazing.
I don't know about that.
Well,
but yes,
it's pretty darn good. And yeah, so finals wrapped up. We finished those up this last week. And so I have played a ton of Red Dead Redemption 2 over the weekend.
Zach, I have as well.
Good. I was going to ask you if you had gotten around to it. So maybe we'll get to talking about that at some point later on in the podcast. But yeah, I don't know. I hurt my foot over the weekend. So I basically sat around playing Red Dead all weekend.
How'd you hurt your foot?
I don't even know. It just hurt to stand on and walk on, and it feels like it's getting better because I was resting it most of the weekend. But anyway, should we talk about some news?
Yes. You start us out because you know more about this than I do.
So, very exciting times if you are a fan of Pokemon Go, because PvP has finally arrived. It's the thing that people have wanted basically since the game launched. And so, yeah, trainer battles are a thing now in Pokemon Go. And you can get rewards so you can train against the 3 team leaders. So you're kind of battling against an AI opponent. And the AI is very dumb. They don't shield or anything like that. So you can pretty much destroy them very easily. But you can get rewards for doing that once a day. And then you get rewards, I think, up to 4 times by battling other trainers. And the significant thing about this is that you can actually challenge anyone that is on your friends list that is at I believe it's great or best friends, best or ultra friends or higher. Then you can battle anywhere. So you're not limited to whoever's just nearby. Because you don't play enough. We're not high enough to battle anywhere yet, so you need to accept some gifts. But we did we did try this out a little bit when we were hanging out. I think a week ago.
That's right.
And I did destroy you, but to be fair, I think it's because I have guys who are just a little higher than your guys.
Zach, I don't like that it's not actually Pokemon battles.
It's true. So the other big thing about this that has disappointed a lot of people is that it's not turn-based. It is still and
elements don't matter. If you had a fire Pokemon and I had a water Pokemon, it would not matter.
No, that does matter. So there is still type effectiveness and type advantages. So you do there is some element of strategy where you only can take 3 with you in a battle. So if I start off with a fire Pokemon and you start off with a water Pokemon, we didn't know that was going to be the first thing that we threw out there, but you have an advantage because you're super effective against me. So you've basically forced my hand to then swap to a different Pokemon. So then say I swap to a grass type Pokemon to counter your water type Pokemon. I can't then swap again for 50 seconds. So if you then switch to a fire type Pokemon, then you gain the advantage back, right? So it's just kind of this back and forth type of a thing. But also you only have 2 shields. So choosing when to use them when someone uses one of their charge moves is also sort of a little bit of a mind game, because you're well, if this is super effective attack, that his charge attack is super effective, then I need to think about whether I should use my shield or not. So there is a little bit more strategy to it than maybe you might think when you first hear that, oh, it's just tap, tap, tap. You know, it is there's no dodging, which I think is kind of replaced by shielding, because I don't know how they make dodging work in a PvP environment. Like, it makes sense when you're just battling gyms or raid bosses, but even then it doesn't really work all that well. But the other interesting thing is that you now have the ability to get another charge move. So your guys can have 2 charge moves now. And that's not just for PvP battles, it's for gym battles and raids and everything. So they're a little bit expensive, so you have to like choose wisely who you're going to invest in getting another charge move for. But that's like sort of another way you can kind of strategize and say, well, this guy might use one of his shields because he thinks I'm going to use a super effective move, but I'm going to use my other charge move here and kind of waste it just to draw out his shield or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then once he's out of shields, you use your super effective move. So anyway, I don't want to get too in the weeds with this because I know you're only sort of so-so into Pokemon, but I'll link to a post that has a lot more information about how the battles work and what the 3 different leagues are and how all of that works if you're interested. But
it's interesting. Like, I wish it was not just tapping. Yeah. I know you said it wasn't that, but I don't know. Like, when we played, maybe it's because I just am so low level, but yeah, I also couldn't understand like how to shield properly or like when to shield. But
yeah, I think that is part of it. Like, that I'm just like, I think a little bit more than double your level. Now, granted, we were battling in the like lower tier of leagues, so the CP of our Pokemon were probably fairly similar, but yeah, I don't know. It is something that you kind of like, battling against the AI trainers will sort of help you learn a little bit about how they work and when to use shields and when not to and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's not as cool as it would have been if it was turn-based, which, I mean, people have brought it up, myself included, that Jurassic World Alive, which is another game that basically is a Jurassic Park ripoff of Pokemon Go, already has like matchmaking for their PvP, so you don't have to just like be nearby somebody or like great friends with them to battle. That you just like search online and it will get somebody for you to battle against, and it's turn-based. So they're basically doing Pokemon PvP the way that people want in Pokemon Go. So it's a little bit disappointing, but I think there is like restrictions placed on Niantic as to how they're allowed to go about doing it. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think they've been told to keep things fast. So like tapping rather than like slowly turn-based stuff, because they want people to keep moving, so they don't want people just like sitting there for like a half an hour doing this stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But also, I'm not sure. I think I heard one time, this might be misinformation, so don't quote me on it, but I think I also heard that like the turn-based stuff was supposed to be like restricted to the main series games, and they wanted Niantic to come up with their own method for doing it, which I think I believe, but I don't know if that's a real thing or not. That might have been misinformation. But anyway, we can move on because I know you're only half into this. But
Zach, how do I get a free copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Well, so I'm glad you asked me, because I think you and I are in line to get a free copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey for PC via Google's Project Stream. So that thing that we talked about.
We don't have to do anything else since we've already engaged in the beta?
I believe that is correct. I'm just scanning the article to check. Yeah, it looks like... So as long as you've played or participated in the Project Stream beta, Ubisoft is gifting you a copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
That's crazy.
That you can also continue your save file, essentially. So your save data, items, everything that you have should transfer over to the Uplay copy that you will get.
Oh, wait. It's on Uplay? Wait, so I have to download it now?
Yeah. So you're not like going to continue playing through Project Stream. Project Stream is right now just a beta thing. So it will end when the test ends on January 15th. But you'll be given a free copy of the game that you can then download through Uplay, and your progress will carry over into that. So I get what you're saying. Kind of a bummer that you're not just able to continue streaming the game, but at least you can, like, because we were speculating what was going to happen when the beta was up and people had not finished playing the game. They're like, well, what do they do? Like, is it just over? Does it go away? Well, this is their resolution to that. You can still play the game. You just have to download it.
I'm not into that because I don't really like Uplay.
It's true. Like, there's been a lot of talk because, what was it? Epic announced their own launcher for PC. To compete.
Oh yeah, crazy we didn't put this in the news. This is actually kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. This came out during the Game Awards. There was a trailer for it. Epic has rolled out their own sort of game platform that you can download on PC, and it's competing directly with Steam. And I think that new game Ashen is out that I think was also like exclusive to Epic's. I don't even know what it's called. I forget what it's called.
Hades is also exclusive to Epic's store.
Yeah, also Hades. And then, yeah, so this is, I guess, another one. Like, people don't want to have more clients to have to download and, like, maintain and have games sort of spread across all these different platforms. But at the same time, like, Steam has its issues. It's not, like, perfect.
Well, so the main I heard this today, and I don't know if it's true, but the main difference is how they're treating developers, because Steam famously takes like a big cut.
I think 70% goes to the developers.
Yeah, so Steam gets 30. So Epic gets like
it was 80 for developers through Epic's store. So
I heard today Discord has a game store. And they are giving 90% to developers.
Yeah, they made another announcement about their game streaming platform through Discord to kind of undercut what Epic just did. So it seems like the competition is interesting because it's good for developers.
Yeah.
Even though I think fans would prefer to just have a one-stop shop sort of a thing, which is what they've had.
I still treat Steam like that.
Yeah, and that's what most people have had because they've used Steam that way. But there's also a lot of like not great stuff on Steam. Like the user reviews can be like really not great, and some of the community features and stuff like that. But yeah, it's cool that developers are going to get more through these other stores, and maybe that'll make Steam, like the competition will maybe help Steam get better. So, but yeah. Those are all very interesting. Uplay, to return to our Assassin's Creed discussion, is not a great one. It's not. I've said this before, I think, on the show. I think the only clients that I've used that I've not had just a horrible time trying to work with and have had to like go into the actual game's like files to customize things to actually get the game to run the way I want it to like take advantage of my computer hardware and my monitor specs and all of that. Basically, Steam and Battle.net are the only two that I've been able to use consistently without having issues that I've had to like do a lot of research in order to figure out how to get around. So basically all clients have been terrible other than those two. So I guess downloading more is not great, but I don't know. Hopefully I won't have that issue because I do want to play more Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And I do believe I have Uplay installed.
You should. How did you play Watch Dogs?
I didn't play Watch Dogs. I played Far Cry 5.
Oh, that's right. I have it because of Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah. I think I bought Far Cry 5 through Steam. and I thought I was going to be able to play it through Steam, but then when you go to like launch it in Steam,
it makes you launch Uplay.
Yeah, it launches Uplay and makes you go through there, which really sucks. But actually, I don't. Maybe Far Cry 5 didn't make me do a lot of Googling to try to figure out why the game isn't running the way I want it to, but I've had issues with that on most other games, unfortunately. Yeah. So,
a game that you probably would not have issues with is Dusk.
Dusk. Tell me about Dusk.
I talked about it when the beta came out. I didn't get to play it because I'm waiting for a specific reason. But Dusk is like an old school first-person shooter in the vein of Iron Maiden that we talked about and did some videos on. But Dusk, it looks very old school, and it runs, super clean, and it's all like no reloading, and it's just like crazy old school FPS action with like there's like satanic cults, and you're just like taking them out. You have 2 shotguns and things like that. But it looks like a super fun game, and I was gonna get it on Steam and play through it, but it's coming out on Switch as well. So I'm kind of waiting for the Switch port to come out and see how that is. But out now on Steam, I think it's like $20 or $30. It's cheap. And if you're a fan of old school FPSs, definitely check it out. I've not played it, but I've read a bunch of reviews of it. And it looks great. The only reason I haven't played it yet is because I am probably going to maybe try it out on Switch. Because I have yet to play a first-person game on Switch.
Yeah, I kept wondering if you were going to play, what was it?
Wolfenstein?
Yeah, Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I just never got around to it, but I don't know. And I mean, usually when you don't get around to things, they go on sale, but like Nintendo stuff never goes on sale, so I don't know. I want to play it because I was invested in the story of the first game, but I just need to find time.
Yeah, I don't know. These all look kind of interesting to me, but I know you're way more into them than I am. Those like classic reimaginings of like 90s first-person shooters.
So good.
You know what? I would play a GoldenEye remaster on Switch if they did that. Just like update the controls to work with like a pro controller. Or like
that would be amazing. That would be such good co-op. Like, because you could just grab. Well, how would you do?
Or like Perfect Dark as well. They could go that route.
Perfect Dark is great, and I loved it. But
yeah,
how would you set up the controls if you wanted to do split screen with 2 Joy-Cons, one person with each Joy-Con?
That's a good question. Could you do could you play Wolfenstein or Doom with just one Joy-Con?
I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe they just you can't do it with this game, but
I mean, GoldenEye is meant to be played like split screen or like 4-player. Like it's like Smash, where like you played it as a kid with a bunch of people. I think maybe the face buttons could be like a strafe kind of a thing, because there aren't a ton of controls in that game. And you could use the shoulder buttons as like firing and aiming maybe. I don't know, but that would be great.
That would be awesome. I do want that a lot. They've tried over the years multiple times to like remake or reimagine that game, and it never works because they stray too far from like what made the original game what it is. And I want them to just like basically do a straight port of that game, but update the controls for like modern controllers.
Yeah, for not the N64 controller.
Yeah, exactly. But that'll probably never happen, even though I guess, yeah, I don't think it can because Rare is now with Microsoft.
Unfortunately, yeah. Rare being with Microsoft is a big pain for a lot of things.
Yeah, that definitely rules out a lot of things that I think a lot of people would like, but let's move on, and you can tell me about this next thing we have on our list.
Zach, do you know who Backpack Kid is?
No.
I didn't either, but I was watching SNL. This would have been a year ago, or maybe like a year and a half ago, and Katy Perry was the guest of the music guest. And she came on and she did this thing where she like had a bunch of people on stage and everybody was dancing and it was all crazy. People were in costumes. Then there's a lull in the song. Everyone parts ways. This kid gets up on stage. This kid is like maybe 15 and he has like slicked back blonde hair and he's wearing a backpack and everyone's looking at this kid like,
kid.
That's the floss. It's the floss kit. So and he starts flossing, and that was the first time I ever saw flossing, and it blew my mind. But
was that where it originated, or like how did that even come about?
I think he invented it. I think he is an Instagram influencer.
Is he? Okay, so he like was around before. He was not just some like random kid that Katy Perry was like, "Hey, you've got a cool dance. Do this thing." I mean,
I don't know how they got hooked up. I know very, very little about Backpack Kid on purpose. But anyway, that's all to say that Backpack Kid, as well as Alfonso Ribeiro.
Oh yeah, I had heard about that. Ribeiro, I don't know. Anyway, I did hear about that one though.
Are suing Fortnite because both of them have iconic dances, and Fortnite has used them and has become. I mean, they're not character. Although I will say, I went to Target yesterday, and there's a whole Fortnite section in the toy section of just like. There are no characters in Fortnite, so it's just like skins, but they're action figures. And there's like those like purple llamas or whatever, and all kinds of stuff. There's like an entire Fortnite toy section. But anyway, Fortnite is obviously very big, and Alfonso and Backpack Kid are both like, hey, these iconic things, because dancing apparently is very important in Fortnite, came from us, and so you need to not pay us.
But they don't own like a copyright on it, do they?
They don't, but I don't know. I'm not sure how you... Because I saw a split screen of Alfonso Ribeiro doing the dance in an old episode of Fresh Prince. Also, I think it's called like the Fresh Dance. And
don't these exist in Destiny as well?
Do they? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Can you floss in Destiny?
I think you can.
That's crazy. We should play more Destiny. So you're anti them suing Fortnite?
Yeah, I think it's silly.
I don't like Fortnite, so I want them to be sued.
I mean, I don't care anything about Fortnite, so I don't. But like, I feel like if they're gonna sue Fortnite, they have to sue Destiny because there's definitely a floss dance emote in Destiny, and I think there's also a Carlton dance as well.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I don't know why they're singling out Fortnite other than they have a lot of money and they make a lot of money, and that's like a source of income for these people. I'm not, in general, I'm not a fan of like opportunistic suings like this.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. My judgment is maybe being clouded by my dislike for Fortnite.
I mean, PUBG sued Fortnite because they were like they stole their mode or whatever, and I thought
that was a little legitimate because it was very similar.
Yeah, I get that one, even though I also think that was a little bit silly just because it's like somebody probably could have sued any game that has a team deathmatch mode in it. Like
that was also opportunistic. You're right.
Yeah, I just like it's a mode. It's kind of like. There's no, like, you don't own the rights to, like, flossing. That's just, like, a thing you did in public one time. Like, you don't own legal rights to that action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the inventor of headbanging now sues anybody he sees doing it because he wants money. I don't know.
Here's something else, though. I think you have to buy the dances from Fortnite.
Maybe that's where they're thinking they can make this suing work. Like, well, you're making money off of something I started, but there again, like, is there a legal precedent for that? Like,
I don't know.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how any of this works, but like,
what battle royale games were the founding fathers playing?
Yeah, I don't know. Clearly, ones with flossing in it. I don't think this guy has anywhere to. Like,
I don't know anything about this Backpack yet. I've never seen him speak, but I did see that one time he was on SNL and it blew my mind.
I mean, I think everybody has seen that meme before. Like, maybe we just like Google the Know Your Meme site where it has all of this stuff for us.
Well, I didn't realize how integral dancing was to Fortnite. Like, I didn't realize it was so much of a thing that like, apparently like, kids have their favorite Fortnite dances. Like when you're like, hey, tell me what Fortnite is. And like kids will talk to you on end about it.
Really?
And then you can say like, what's your favorite dance in Fortnite? And they all have one apparently.
I mean, I feel like it's not any different than how Destiny emotes work.
Yeah.
I feel like these are the same thing. And
it's definitely still emotes, but for whatever reason, the dancing is like an aspect of this game that has captured the nation.
I guess because, just because Fortnite is such a huge deal. So, like, anytime there's any sort of story relating to Fortnite, if people can put a headline together that has the word Fortnite in it, they're going to do it just for the clicks. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
Zach, do you have young cousins?
I don't. Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Haha, nice. Wait, what would that mean?
It means I'm not too close with my relatives to be aware of. It does not mean, although that's kind of funny, so maybe it should have meant it that way. But
I also don't have young cousins, but someone I know went to I think it was a Thanksgiving, and they were saying like, yeah, a great thing to do is just like anything that comes on TV. Just be like, is this Fortnite? And then the kids will be like, no, this is what, and they'll talk to you for like an hour about it.
Yeah, that got me thinking. And maybe this doesn't even need to be in the podcast, but like, I was at the game tonight that I was doing, and our commentators said they're like, oh, they're scoring and their numbers are like video game numbers, and I'm like, is that a reference that our intended audience is going to even understand? And he said it like 3 times. I'm like, you're talking over people's heads right now.
I bet I know who said that.
I bet you do too.
But also, like, basketball should have different ways to score. Like, I think we were talking about this. If you shoot from the half court, it should be worth like 5 points.
Also, there should always be a running clock.
And there should be 2 balls.
Yeah. We had this whole conversation. We worked out how we could make sports more interesting. And because there's tennis, you have like 1v1. And then they do this crazy thing where they do doubles and it's 2v2. What if there was like the equivalent of that, but in basketball, where there was just like, instead of, 5 people from each side on at a time, there was just like 10 people. And then because you had so many people, you'd have to spice it up by throwing in multiple basketballs.
See, and this would make football 1,000 times better, would be if each team had a ball they were trying to get across, and all of the defense and all of the offense were all on the field at the same time, and both of them were going, and there was no stoppage of play. I mean, I think that actually might be called rugby.
Yeah.
But
well, the problem with that is that at some point that becomes unwatchable. Like, you have no idea what's happening. But
that's a point.
I guess that's esports for a lot of people as well. They just don't know what's happening. So anyway, we have gotten off into the woods. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Zach, I have a bombshell for you.
I'm ready for it.
Are you ready for it? Are you sitting down right now?
I am as sitting as I'll ever be.
Wouldn't it be crazy if you stood during these podcasts and you just didn't tell me that?
One of these days, I will have a stand-up desk and I will stand during our podcast.
You know, at my short side story, but I worked at, you know how I have that weekend job at that TV station?
Yeah.
They're redoing everything, and now every desk in the new newsroom is a motorized desk that can be sitting or standing. So when I produced the newscasts this weekend, I was standing the entire time.
See, that's what I want. Like, if I had the means to do it right now, I would have a stand-up desk, and I would be standing as we podcast right now.
Zach, I own Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Oh, bombshell. You did.
Sarah got it for me for Christmas.
Ah, did you guys already celebrate then?
Sort of, yeah, because, I mean, I'm getting her that Advent, so she's basically been opening presents since December 1st.
Gotcha.
And she was like, I don't know what to get you. And we were at Target yesterday, and I was like, you should just get me Ultimate, and we'll just like play it together. So that's what we've been doing. I've unlocked
Wait, so have you guys played with just like single Joy-Cons?
No, I have a Pro controller, so she's been using the Joy-Cons grip in the controller thing.
Yeah. I'm curious because I guess it can work, but I feel like that would be a bad experience.
I've been doing a lot of research on how I should be playing.
Yeah.
Because so what's your play style? Did you change your controls at all? Because a lot of people say you should.
Change them to what?
A lot of people say that you should use the right analog stick to be your tilt attack.
Really? That would throw me off so hard.
Yeah, I tried to do it for a while, and I just could not wrap my head around it. Because, like, I guess tilt attacks are very important for high level play.
And literally every other game, you use the left thumbstick as movement. Right thumbstick. Right thumbstick.
Which is smash attacks right now.
Oh, interesting.
Because I don't even think I do tilt attacks.
So I live and die by that right thumbstick for like heavy attacks. Yeah, but me too. That's very interesting, the idea of switching it to your other attacks.
Yeah, because you make it your tilt attack, and then by just pressing A to do your regular attack and like a movement or whatever, or no, maybe, yeah, that's how you can do your smash attacks. So then you have a whole other series of, you have like an extra 4 attacks you can do. Because like tilting on its own, I can't do it. I can't reproduce those. Like, I think they said if you want to try to do that, you should do it on low sensitivity. But because you have to just tilt the thumbstick slightly and then tap it in order to do that. But it makes sense to me. But it's also another thing they said to do was bind one of the trigger buttons to jump so that you can jump more easily, and then turn off stick jump where you press up to jump.
I mean, I haven't played a Smash game before Ultimate since Melee.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
So, yeah, but my understanding of the controls are so ingrained from having played it on the GameCube with that controller, and not messing around with the controls themselves, that like when I picked it up, like as far as controlling goes, it was kind of like that riding a bike thing where you like immediately know how to do it. Like I had to figure out how to do it best, but like the controls themselves, like I understood, I got how I was supposed to do things. And I've also played quite a bit. Like I played a lot the initial weekend when it came out. I think if I went back to it now and I tried to switch my controls, I would have to completely relearn how to play the game.
Yeah, I agree.
But you did try it?
I tried it and I didn't like it. Like the pressing a button to jump just feels weird in Smash Brothers. And the tilt attacks are like good, but I can't.
There is button pressing to jump, right? I think it's like Y.
Yeah, you can. You definitely can.
Or X. I don't.
But I don't know. Like the tilt attack thing is what people say is most important. That Zero guy, who is supposedly the best Super Smash Brothers on Wii U player, I watched a bunch of his guides, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you got to use tilt attacks in high level play." But I don't know, man. I feel like smash attacks are fine, and not using tilt attacks is not the end of the world.
I mean, I'm not a high-level Smash player, nor do I intend to become one, so I'll just play however's most comfortable, but, like, I mean, I guess it's interesting that not the default control scheme is the preferred one amongst high-level players.
Who are your favorite characters right now? I haven't unlocked everybody.
I also have not unlocked everybody. I think my favorite of the new characters is King K. Rool.
He's great.
He's very good because not only do all of his hits do a lot of damage, but he's like very heavy, so he's like hard to launch. So I've noticed just playing as him, even if I'm not necessarily as good with him as I might be with somebody else, I can survive a lot longer with him. So it made like getting through some of the tougher stages and like that World of Light mode much easier. Actually, not World of Light. Maybe it was just like when a new fighter appeared, because those like new whenever a challenger arrives and you're excited because you're like, oh, I'm gonna get a new character unlocked, and then you go try to fight him and he like kicks your butt and you lose. I don't know, those seem like harder than they've been previously. Maybe it's just because I have not played. The patch was supposed to make them
easier, but also they get easier the more times you encounter them.
Okay, yeah, and then it took me a while.
I had to play Isabelle like 3 times before I finally got her.
I think the hardest one for me was Rosalina? The like Princess Peach looking girl with the star that floats around, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me a long time to figure out that if you fail to defeat a challenger, you can go into your menu and there's like a little, looks like doors opened or whatever that you can go click on and re-challenge them.
You have to wait until you encounter another person, though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because like I would, I think it was Isabel the first time. I lost her immediately because she destroyed me, and then I went over to that Games and More, and it wasn't there, and so I played another Smash game, and then it still wasn't there, and then I encountered Wario, and I also got destroyed. And then I went over and the doors were there, so I was able to fight both of them back to back.
So how have you been unlocking them? Because I think when I first started playing, I just like was playing against a random opponent and just playing each of the stages because I wanted to see what each of the stages were like. Just in like the regular Smash mode, it was like stock of 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was pretty regularly getting new characters, like just about every other fight, I guess.
It happens every 10 minutes.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've been Sarah and I have been playing together, and so like every 10 minutes, and that's about like a match and a half, basically. At the end of the match, it'll just be like challenger approaches, and so it's just like a fun way. You just like keep playing and you keep getting new characters. I played a very small amount of World of Light and didn't unlock anybody that I didn't already have. But yeah, it's mostly been just like multiplayer, and then like at the end of every match, I played some just again. I played one. No, I've gone through the, what is it called? Classic mode for 2 or 3 characters and unlocked some people that way. Yeah,
that's another. I think I prefer that to World of Light, honestly, just because it's like more bite-sized. I put up a video on our YouTube channel that was sort of impressions on it. That's sort of a semi-review of the game. And I talked about how World of Light is like super long and it just like goes on and on forever. And the stages in World of Light are kind of super inconsistent, where like you'll destroy a fight in like seconds, and then like a couple stages later you run into this one that's like almost impossible.
Yeah.
So like the difficulty spikes are really weird, but also like most of the fighters that at least I wanted to play as were just locked away and I couldn't find them. I didn't know. So I was like forced to play most of it with characters I didn't like as well or wasn't as good with.
So who'd you say your main is right now?
I don't have one, but if I had to pick one, it would either be Falco from Star Fox or Ryu from Street Fighter.
Really? I found Ryu to be very difficult to handle.
Really? I didn't find him that difficult. In Melee, I think I played Falco more than anybody else. So it was like came natural to me to like start playing as Falco when I unlocked him. But again, I like King K. Rool as well.
Yeah.
And I also found that I like that Pit guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just enjoyed his moveset. So he's not like super strong or anything, but I had some fun playing with that character as well. And actually, because I didn't want to play as like Kirby or Mario for like early on in World of Light, I made this like Mii fighter with a sword.
Oh.
And so I played a lot of World of Light with a Mii fighter, which is like the least interesting character that you could possibly play as. But like I was able to put together like a custom set of moves that like felt way more satisfying and like easier to do what I wanted to than the fighters that I had available at the time. So I just like kept using it for like a really long time.
Interesting.
What are your favorites?
I feel like I'm decent with... Right now, I think my favorite is the Villager from Animal Crossing.
I hear he's deceptively good.
He's pretty... Like, that... The tree thing is like... So, the reason I like him is because... one of the reasons I finally decided to get Smash is because I've been watching this streamer guy, Vinesauce, and he's really good with Villager, and it's just like... It's very satisfying to like... have that tree fall on people, and also I have a big problem or at least I did initially, falling off of the match and like not being able to recover. And Villager is great because his balloons are just like infinite, pretty much.
Well, so that I think that's actually a thing that people have complained about. Like Digital Foundry put out a video about how Smash Brothers runs, and they found that like the input delay is like worse on this version of Smash than it was on previous versions, which explains kind of a lot actually, because there have been, I can't tell you how many times where my character has gotten like knocked off the stage and he's falling and I'm like pressing the jump button and I do the up B thing to like use your special jump. And I'll just like fall so far before he finally actually completes that move that the up B jump doesn't get me high enough to grab a ledge. And I'm just like, I know that I jumped before my character actually did it on screen, so I don't know what the deal is, but apparently that is actually an issue. I don't know if they've done an update that's resolved that yet or not, but that's a thing.
That's why K. Rool is good too, because he has those helicopters as his update.
Yeah.
But anyway, Villager, and then I like Pikachu a whole lot just because he's very versatile, and like his up B where you can like zip around is very satisfying. And then also for whatever reason, Peach I've been doing really well with as well.
I don't think I've ever played as Peach.
She's great. Like she has a bunch of like her side B is really satisfying, and her up B is also, she can also kind of float, and her just like regular B is like Toad just gets out in front of her, and then if someone attacks you, Toad attacks them.
It's like a reflect
she's like very mobile
type of a thing.
Yeah, it's like a reflect kind of. But she's pretty mobile, and her ultimate, or like her ultimate smash or whatever it's called, is everyone in the stage falls asleep and there's just a bunch of big peaches around, and so you can just run around and pick up all the peaches and get back down to 0%.
Oh, so hers is like a healing one. That's interesting.
Sort of. I mean, but if you do it fast enough, or if you don't really need the peaches, you can just destroy everybody who's asleep.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I definitely prefer ultimate smashes that like give you the targeting reticle so that you can like aim at somebody who's trying to like run and jump away. Because the ones that require you to like line up a shot or be like right next to somebody, I almost always fail.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I do like Pikachu as well. You mentioned Pikachu. It's
that like his short hop attack is really, really satisfying to use, and the thing where he launches himself, his like side B is also very satisfying.
Yeah, so I found myself gravitating to characters that have a side B that like shoots them sort of across the map a little bit, because they just became super effective ways to just like knock people off the map from a distance. So like I could stand on one side of the map and be sort of relatively safe from them, and as soon as they like drop down to the same level as me, I could just hit that and launch them off the map just repeatedly. So I clung to characters that had like a side B move that hit very hard. So
you know who has a very disappointing side B move, and down B move for that matter, is Mario.
Yeah, I also don't like his. Luigi's is much better. So if you like the Mario Brothers, play as Luigi.
Why can't, I feel like they should have incorporated Cappy into Mario in some way. Like, he still has his water jet from Sunshine.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a good question as to why they didn't update Mario to reflect more recent Mario games rather than letting him continue to use stuff from
the water jet doesn't even do any damage, I don't think. I think it just pushes people.
Yeah? I don't know.
And the cape... Is the cape a reflect? I've never used it properly.
So what it is it turns people around. So basically, if somebody sort of comes up to you and is like, you can roll behind them and then use that to like turn them around. So like, say Samus is about to fire off his big shot or her, beam shot or whatever it is. You just like go up to her and use your cape to like turn her around and she'll fire at the opposite direction. So if there's anybody over there, it'll hit them instead of you.
Big missed opportunity with Mario's moves.
I agree. Well, and Cappy could have been sort of a Kirby type of thing.
Yeah. That would have been great.
Like
his
stealing their
down
power?
on the directional pad taunt is Cappy coming out.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, but I don't know. I really want to unlock Wario and... Oh, man, there was someone else who I want to play as Cloud, because I heard he's a good person for beginners, because he's very simplistic.
I struggled to unlock Cloud because I failed the challenge multiple times when he showed up, and I have not played as him yet. But
yeah, I have not been able to capture Wario either. He's pretty difficult.
Yeah, I think the first time I encountered Wario, he like got on his motorcycle and just like knocked me right off the map immediately, and I couldn't jump back up. So,
but here's something I want to talk about. So we know Joker is the first DLC.
I'm very excited about that.
What do you think about, like, what would be interesting characters for the next DLCs? I'm sure everyone on every podcast has talked about this, but I think it's a really interesting conversation.
It is interesting. I think nobody would have guessed Joker, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the door is wide open and anything can happen at this point. So literally, you can guess anybody from any franchise, from any platform, and it's a possibility now that Joker from Sony exclusive Persona 5 is coming to Smash. So,
I mean, like, I like characters where you say it and someone is like, "Wait, how is that a character?" Like the Duck Hunt.
Yeah, or the Piranha Plant.
Yeah, or the Piranha Plant is another like good example. But who's someone you would be very excited to see?
I would have to think about that.
Do you think Kratos could come?
Oh gosh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
That wouldn't be one of those like, how is that a character? But yeah, I would love to see Kratos in Smash Brothers.
Because I mean, what made me think of that is you were like, yeah, it's Sony exclusive Persona, but I guess Persona is like a Japanese company, but well, yeah, I don't know, like,
but like if Snake can be,
yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like anybody can be as well. Because
I'm trying to think of like other crazy things.
Well, I mentioned when we were speculating about this in I think a previous podcast, like what if they brought just as a classic example. If they brought Excite Bike, so it was just a character on a bike the whole time, and like all of his attacks were just like different tricks.
That would be awesome.
That would be interesting.
I feel like a great thing they do is they have these trailers where you're like, what is this? Like that Persona one specifically is what I'm thinking of, where like, oh, it's like a Persona thing, I guess, that just came out, but then it is revealed that it's a Smash invite. Or like with Animal Crossing, there was like, oh, there's a new Animal Crossing coming out, but then it was revealed that it was Isabelle was coming. Mm-hmm. So like, what's something that is coming out in 2019 that they could do a fake trailer for, and then it's revealed that it's a Smash trailer?
The Doom Marine?
I mean, I would love that, and that's my number one pick of someone who I hope is in it. But I'm trying to think. I feel like there's other not big budget, but just like highly anticipated things coming out where you would see a trailer for it and be like, oh, and then it would happen and you'd be like, oh, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like Joker from
Everybody
Persona
wants
5
Banjo-Kazooie.
Was such a surprise that like my mind is blown to the point where I have no idea where they go. Like previously you were like, okay, so they could like draw from these different places, but now that the door's so wide open, I don't even know where to look anymore. But yeah, Banjo-Kazooie is definitely one they're pretty much expecting at this point.
Zach, I've got it.
What?
Tetris.
What? How would that work?
How would that work? I don't even know.
Yeah, how would that work?
I mean, I don't know.
Ball's in your court now, Nintendo. Figure it out.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Tetris. Make it happen and figure out how that's a character in Smash.
I made it to Chapter 3 in Red Dead Redemption.
I have made it to I have just started the second epilogue.
The second epilogue?
There are 3.
Oh my god.
So I've been playing a lot lately. I think I was on Chapter 5 last time we talked anyway, but I've played a lot.
How many chapters are there in total?
6. And then 3 epilogues.
So I'm halfway done.
Yeah. And I'm very curious to hear like your experience as you keep going through the story. I don't want to say
what was your favorite chapter?
Very much. I think it's chapter 5 that goes like a really unexpected direction. And like you're like, okay, I know what this game is going to be. We're in this area, we're doing this thing, and then all of a sudden it's like a completely different sort of a thing.
I'm very excited for that. I am going to play a bunch. I've been playing Smash and I've been like going back and forth kind of. I played a bunch of Red Dead today, and I'll probably play a bunch tomorrow, but I'm excited to see. I have stopped doing like side missions because I just want to mainline the story.
Yeah.
Because everyone says the story is like the best part of the game.
At some point, I started doing that too. I was like, I really want to do everything, but there's too much to this game. I just want to like get through the story. And it does kind of like, as you keep playing, it feels like this long-running TV series or like this really engaging movie where there's like all this stuff happening between the characters, and there's it just becomes very, very satisfying. And I think part of that was because I was just sort of mainlining the main story. Mm-hmm. So I was going from one like cinematic plot point to the next. So everything was very fresh in my mind, whereas I feel like most people are like your average gamer who's not us on Christmas break right now are probably going to get like very little time to play in the evenings. So it will take them like an entire year to get through Red Dead story alone. Yeah. And I wonder how hard hitting some of those like more intense plot points are going to hit when they've been spread out by like weeks or months, you know? So
interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. The horse mechanics in the game are just so good. Like they nailed just like we were talking before Red Dead came out, and we were like, what would Red Dead Online be like? Because right now there's like, you know, you can do your death matches, but they also have like other stuff like car races. Like, is there going to be horse races? And yes, there is. And doesn't seem very interesting to me. But like, on the one hand, in the main story, I almost like the horse better than the car from GTA. Just because, for one, it's interesting that, you know, the way the inventory works as you walk up to your horse. But also it's like, it's a means of transportation, but it's also like a pet, you know what I mean? It's like another character that you're sort of interacting with as you go. Yeah. So you do kind of become somewhat attached to your horse, and just like bonding with a new horse and everything is very cool to me. And, so that's been kind of my thing as I've been playing this game, is like, I want all the horses, and I'm super bummed that the, what are they called? The horse stalls or whatever. They only have 3 slots. So you can only have 1 out with you and like 3 at the stable.
Yeah.
There are like 19 horses in this game. And each of them have multiple coats. Like there are collectors out there that want to like go catch them all and have bonded to max level with all the kinds that are in the game. But you can't do that without like sacrificing and giving up one of your horses in order to make space for another one. So I don't know. That kind of bums me out, but I think my favorite horse is not the Arabians.
Really? What is it?
It's the Missouri Foxtrotter, because it's actually faster than the Arabians, but it doesn't accelerate as fast. And it's a little bit bigger. The Arabians are very small horses. But the other big thing about them is that the Arabians are very like skittish. Whenever there's like a predator nearby or there's like gunshots, they like freak out, and you have to calm them repeatedly to get them to, you know, not be very upset. Whereas the Missouri Foxtrotter is less like that. Like you can, you're not going to like necessarily walk right up to a predator, but it's not going to like freak out and buck you off as like a predator gets nearby or whatever. So I don't know.
We should definitely, when I complete most of the story, or like maybe when I complete the story and start doing epilogues, we should do a whole podcast on just like the game overall.
Yeah, like a spoiler conversation where we get into the story of it.
Yeah, maybe there'll be something for the new year, because I'm hoping to put a big dent in it before I head down south for Christmas.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. You should focus the rest of your life until you leave on Red Dead Redemption 2 and get as far as you possibly can. I'm very curious to see how you're going to react as things continue. But I won't say any more than that, and we'll talk about it on another show, I guess.
We have a couple of things we've been watching. Should we get into that, or should we save it for another time?
We can just sort of briefly go into them. I don't need to say a lot about the one thing I put in here. I've been watching the Netflix original TV show called Sick Note. There's I think 2 seasons right now, and I am now anxiously awaiting a third because it's kind of like left off in a little bit of a cliffhanger, because you want to like, you're waiting for it to resume so you can know where it goes next. But it's got Nick Frost in it as this like sort of incompetent doctor who the main character is the guy that played Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter movies. I forget his name. But he's misdiagnosed by Nick Frost's character as having cancer. And so everybody around, what's his name? Rupert Grint? Is that his name?
Gwent, maybe?
I don't know, whatever. That guy. Everybody around him, because they think he has cancer, starts like treating him very nicely. Like his workplace was going to fire him. They are now not going to do that, because not only would that be very mean to do to somebody who's been diagnosed with cancer, but also he's become something of like a PR thing for them, where now they employ this guy who's going to die, soon or whatever. And also his girlfriend, who was going to leave him, has decided not to leave him, because that would be also very mean to break up with somebody who's about to die. Mm-hmm. So there's all these like interesting developments that are happening because of the cancer diagnosis. But then the Nick Frost character comes up to him and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I was wrong. You don't have cancer. You're going to live." And he's like mad at him, obviously. So he tells him he's going to like sue him, and he's going to like make sure this gets in the news or whatever. And Nick Frost's character obviously doesn't want that, because he knows he'll get fired, and his life will be ruined because of this mistake or whatever. So he is trying to convince him not to tell anybody. And when he realizes how good everyone is treating him because of the cancer diagnosis, he decides that he would probably lose everything, and everybody would hate him and fire him, and his girlfriend would break up with him if they realized that it was all fake. And so they both just decide to like help each other out and keep this lie going. And so it becomes this like really interesting, intense thing that it just like, it has such a quick pace to it that it just keeps moving and keeps getting more and more interesting and more engaging, to the point where I could not stop watching the show. And I watched like the 2 seasons in like a day or 2.
Oh, wow.
So I highly recommend it, but you will be bummed that they've not made more seasons of it pretty much as soon as you finish it. Anyway, what have you been watching?
I watched that Christmas Chronicles.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you see it? What did you think?
It was just kind of a thing I had on in the background while I was doing other things. So I don't have any like super specific things to say about it. What did you think?
My review of it is Kurt Russell was great, but the kids were terrible. Like, the perfect version of that movie would be just Kurt Russell doing his own thing. He crashes and he has to figure stuff out in Chicago, whatever. Or like he buddies up with some guy or some girl. No kids allowed. Like all the art direction, I didn't like the elves. Also, I thought they were very stupid and they were obviously trying to be minions.
Yeah,
the elves.
That was weird.
But like the character of Kurt Russell as Santa Claus was pretty good. Like he really committed to it, and I liked that. And I like the idea of like Santa Claus walking around in the wild because that's like a good reveal because he knows It's like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day where he knows everybody. But
like it was weird to me that he was so upfront about like, hey everyone, I'm Santa. Why don't you believe that I'm Santa? Even though nobody knows he's Santa and nobody's supposed to know and no one will remember that he's Santa.
It's a good point.
So I was very confused by all of those interactions every time they happened.
The kids were not great, especially the girl was terrible. Yeah. But if they made another one of these and it was just Kurt Russell, because the Chronicles makes you think like, oh, maybe they're going to make a thing out of this. But that would be great because they introduced like Goldie Hawn as his Mrs. Claus at the end of it.
Yeah, they could have some sort of an adventure.
On the other side of the spectrum, I also watched Venom tonight.
I have not seen this yet, so you'll just have to tell me about it.
I think that Tom Hardy is a good actor sometimes. Like that boat show. Did we watch that together? Or were you watching it at the same time I was watching it?
Taboo?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know if we watched it at the same time, but I know we've both seen it. Yeah, I liked it too. I was into it. He
is not good in this movie. He's very, like, him as a character, maybe his character's just written poorly, but he's not likable. His girlfriend, there's no reason why she should be with him, and he's constantly saying very dumb stuff. Venom is also... It's revealed to be kind of he literally, at one point, Venom says, I'm kind of a loser on my planet. Like, that's the line that Venom says. It's very weird. And it all, like, Venom decides to be a kind of a good guy at the turn of a hat, or at the drop of a hat, kind of. And that's also not really explored. Like, they spend a lot of time on Eddie Brock and his life, which I think is a mistake. And also Jenny Slate was in it, but she died. I guess spoiler for the movie. But
whoa!
I was sad about that because she's really cool.
Yeah.
I would rate it as actually there's something I won't spoil, but there is a post-credit scene for this where I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. And I was like, oh, but I don't know. It's like not connected to the MCU in any way. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. Because this is still Sony, right?
Yeah, it's still Sony, and there's no... I mean, Stan Lee was in it, but there's no mention of Spider-Man, and that could be the only thing it could cross over with is Spider-Man. But I think that's, like, the agreement to put him in the MCU kind of rules that out. It's also very violent. CG was fine, passable, but I don't know. As far as movies I've seen this year, it's definitely not in the top 5.
Yeah, I saw that it was getting bad reviews, and to be honest, the trailers didn't make me really want to see it. And I think part of it was that the stuff they chose to show gave me the impression of what you were saying, where Tom Hardy just either he wasn't very good or it was just the material they were giving him wasn't very good, and it just like wasn't a great fit for the two of them. You know
I don't know.
I mean?
Like, the thing that made me want to watch it was people on Twitter being like, wait, is Venom a comedy? Like, just like being like, oh, it's so bad, it's good. But in reality, it was just like, I mean, it was fine. It was not, there were not a lot of parts where it was so bad that it was good. But there were some parts where I was like, oh man, it's insane that Venom said that line in that weird voice just now. But
I think, I wonder how much of that was just like people trying to put some sort of positive spin on it so they didn't have to hate it.
Yeah, that could be. Anyway, we've gone long. We should wrap this up.
We should. So why don't you give us your parting wisdom?
Zach, Eminem did the theme song for Venom, and he sings it at the end of the credits.
Wait, what?
And the name of the song is called Venom, and it's just Eminem saying Venom a bunch of times.
That's all it is?
I mean, he says other stuff, but the chorus of it is like Venom, 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 Venom.
Okay.
Venom.
I mean, Song of the Year.
It's pretty good. Anyway, that's not really wisdom, but that is something that I was just thinking about.
I was going to say, I'm not sure this is wisdom, but...
Always get Eminem to do the theme song for your superhero movie.
Or, better yet, never do that.
That's Zach's wisdom.
That is my wisdom. And I think you'll agree it's very good wisdom. But you should definitely follow us on Twitter at Starside Cafe and leave us a comment and a like and send us an email at starsidecafe@gmail.com. Let us know if you agreed or disagreed with what we had to say about anything, and send us some topics of discussion if you'd like.
And look out next week for our top 5, or it's our sort of like year in review podcast.
Yeah.
That's what's coming out next week.
I'm very excited about that one. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Well, we will see you on the next one.
Yep. Goodbye.
Goodbye.